Imagine this. For 20 years, a kingdom has had no king. His palace is completely overrun, his family is under siege, and this is the story of his long, long road back home.
So our story doesn't actually start with our hero. It starts with the absolute chaos he left behind. We're in Ithaca, and the palace of the long-lost king, Odysseus, has basically become a non-stop party for a bunch of arrogant suitors. They're all convinced Odysseus is dead, so they've just moved in, eating all his food, drinking all his wine, and demanding his wife, Penelope, pick one of them to marry.
And believe me, that's not an exaggeration. Those are the words of Odysseus's own son, Telemachus. He's just a kid, really, forced to watch these guys just devour his inheritance and harass his mother day in and day out. He's pretty sure they're going to demolish him next. The whole situation is just, it's desperate.
But, someone's always watching. Up on Mount Olympus, the gods have seen all this go down. And one of them, Athena, the goddess of wisdom, who happens to be a big fan of Odysseus, she's had enough. She goes to her dad, Zeus, and says, "Hey, it's time." And that's the push, that's the divine intervention that finally gets the wheels turning for our hero to come home.
So where has Odysseus been all this time? Well, his trip home from the Trojan War wasn't exactly a straight shot. It's been a whole decade of getting lost, of fighting for his life, an odyssey filled with trials that are now the stuff of legend. He wasn't just sailing, he was navigating a world of myths and monsters.
I mean, just look at this list. He took on a one-eyed giant who happened to be the son of the sea god Poseidon and blinded him. He outsmarted the sorceress Circe, who was busy turning his crew into pigs. He literally sailed to the land of the dead just to get a prophecy about his future, and then he had to navigate this impossible channel between Scylla, a six-headed monster, and Charybdis, a giant whirlpool that swallows ships whole. Every single challenge was a test of his legendary cunning.
And all this brings us to a huge theme in Greek stories, hubris. It's basically excessive pride, that dangerous overconfidence. See, Odysseus is brilliant, for sure, but he's far from perfect. After he blinds the Cyclops, his ego just takes over. He can't resist shouting his real name back at the monster. Well, that little boast lets the giant call down a curse from his father, Poseidon, making Odysseus' journey about 10 times harder. His own pride became one of his worst enemies.
So, after 20 long years, Odysseus finally makes it back to Ithaca. But he doesn't exactly get a hero's welcome. With a little help from Athena, he's completely transformed, disguised as this frail old beggar. It's the perfect cover. He can see for himself what's really been going on in his kingdom, without anyone knowing who he is.
And this contrast is just incredible, right? On one hand, you've got the legend everyone remembers, the great king, the war hero, the master strategist. But on the other hand, the reality is this broken down man that nobody would ever look at twice. He's a king, hiding in plain sight.
And this disguise, it forces him into this incredibly painful situation. Can you imagine? He has to just sit there in his own home and take insults and kicks and get mocked by the same men who are trying to steal his wife and his kingdom. But every insult is also a clue. He's gathering intel, figuring out who's still loyal and who's a traitor.
Okay, so the tension is just off the charts at this point. The beggar has seen what he needs to see. A plan for revenge is starting to form. And what's amazing is that his own wife, the clever Penelope, is about to set the stage for the whole story's bloody climax, and she doesn't even know it.
Penelope has finally had it. She issues this incredible challenge. She says she'll marry any suitor who can string her husband's enormous bow and then shoot an arrow clean through 12 axe heads, all lined up in a row. It's a task that requires almost superhuman strength and skill, a task she believes only Odysseus himself could ever pull off.
So one by one, all these big, strong suitors, they try and they fail. They can't even bend the bow. And then through all the laughing and the jeering, the old beggar asks for a turn. He picks up the bow and just, like it's nothing, he strings it. The entire hall goes silent. He draws the bow back, lets the arrow fly, and it goes straight through all 12 axes. Perfect shot.
And in that exact moment of stunned silence, the trap springs. On Odysseus' signal, his son Telemachus and a couple of loyal servants slam the doors to the great hall and bar them shut. There's no way out. The contest is over. The reckoning is about to begin.
Just think about these odds for a second. It's Odysseus, his son, and 2 loyal servants against over 100 arrogant, powerful men who are now trapped
and have no weapons. This isn't going to be a fight, it's going to be a slaughter. Yeah, the epic itself does not hold back on how brutal this is. Odysseus isn't a beggar anymore. He is a king delivering justice, and he unleashes 20 years of pent-up fury on these men. He goes through them one by one, and he doesn't spare a single person who plagued his home. So, the suitors are gone, the palace is his again, Odysseus has reclaimed his throne. But believe it or not, his journey still isn't quite over. The most important part, the real homecoming, is still waiting for him.
You have to remember, Penelope has survived for 2 decades by being smart and wary. She's dealt with endless lies and deception, so she's not just going to accept this stranger, even after he's just saved her. She's got one final test of her own, and this one isn't about strength, it's about a secret.
So what does she do? She cleverly tells a servant to go move their marriage bed out into the hall for him. Odysseus just erupts. He's furious, and he reveals exactly why that's impossible. He describes in perfect detail how he built their entire bedroom around a massive living olive tree and carved one of the bedposts right out of the trunk.
And that's it. That's the final piece. It's a secret that only the two of them could possibly know. All of Penelope's doubt just melts away. And after 20 years of war and wandering, a husband and wife are finally, truly together again. His homecoming is finally complete.
So this epic, which is almost 3,000 years old, leaves us with this question that feels just as real today. The Odyssey isn't just about a physical journey, right? It's about fighting your way back to your family, to who you are, to yourself. So it makes you wonder, after all that, what does it truly mean to come home?